Prepare yourself for an epic journey through the life of one of history's greatest heroes, Moses, the liberator of Israel. Imagine a man who, against all odds, defied the absolute power of a pharaoh, witnessed dazzling miracles and led an enslaved people to the promised freedom. This is the story of an extraordinary leader who, guided by a divine mission, stood up against oppression and forged a destiny for a nation. Throughout this narrative, you will discover how Moses not only freed the Israelites from Egyptian captivity, but also received and transmitted the principles that shaped the future of a civilization. Prepare to explore the most dramatic moments, unimaginable challenges, and extraordinary miracles that defined Moses' life. This is a story of courage, faith, and redemption that continues to inspire and transform generations. The context of slavery in Egypt. The Hebrews, descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, initially thrived in Egypt. However, the rise of a new pharaoh who did not know Joseph led to brutal oppression of the Israelites. The pharaoh feared the growing Hebrew population and imposed severe slavery, culminating in the order to kill all newborn Hebrew boys. The birth and childhood of Moses. Amidst this oppression, Jochebed, Moses' mother, placed her son in a basket made of reeds and set him afloat on the Nile to save him. The pharaoh's daughter found the baby and adopted him, raising Moses as an Egyptian prince, but with an awareness of his Hebrew origins. The divine call and return to Egypt. The divine call. The story of Moses' call is one of the most fascinating and dramatic in the Bible. Moses, now an adult and living as a shepherd in Midian, found himself in an unexpected situation that would change the course of his life. While tending his father-in-law Jethro's flock near Mount Horeb, he witnessed a supernatural vision, a burning bush that was not consumed by the fire. This incredible phenomenon captured Moses' attention. As he approached, he heard God's voice calling him by name and instructing him to take off his sandals, for the place where he was standing was holy. God revealed that he had heard the cry of the enslaved Israelites in Egypt and that Moses would be chosen to free them. This divine call was accompanied by a series of promises and signs that would reaffirm Moses' mission and authority. God assured Moses that he would be with him and gave him 3 miraculous signs to convince the Israelites and the Pharaoh that his mission was divine. The first sign was Moses' staff turning into a serpent and then back into a staff. The second was the transformation of Moses' hand into leprosy and its healing when he put it back into his bosom. The third sign was the transformation of the Nile water into blood when poured on the ground. Despite these promises and signs, Moses expressed concerns about his ability to lead and speak before a powerful Pharaoh. God responded by offering Aaron, his brother, as his spokesperson and assured Moses that he would be able to perform the necessary signs and wonders to fulfill his mission. If you are enjoying this story and want to follow more about the life of Moses and other inspiring narratives, subscribe to our channel. Don't miss any updates and join us to explore more about historical figures and the stories that shaped the world. Click the subscribe button and activate notifications to stay updated. Shall we continue this incredible story together? The return to Egypt. With the divine call clear, Moses prepared to return to Egypt, a country he had left years earlier due to an incident involving an Egyptian. Moses' return to Egypt was not an impulsive act, but a carefully planned mission equipped with the divine promise of success. Before departing, Moses gathered his family and took them with him to Egypt. He and Aaron met with the Israelite leaders, presenting the miraculous signs and explaining the mission that God had entrusted to them. The reaction of the Israelite leaders was one of great joy and hope. They believed Moses and Aaron's message and prepared for liberation. However, Moses' first audience with the Pharaoh was challenging. Moses and Aaron asked the Pharaoh to let the Israelites go to worship God in the desert. The Pharaoh, disdainful and resistant, not only refused, but also increased the Israelites' workload as punishment for daring to request their freedom. This hardening of Pharaoh's heart led to a series of confrontations between Moses and Pharaoh, culminating in the 10 plagues. The process of liberation involved not only a series of demonstrations of divine power, but also a persistent struggle against Pharaoh's resistance. The saga of the plagues and Pharaoh's resistance demonstrated the intensity of the oppression and the need for divine intervention to ensure the Israelites' freedom. The journey through the desert and the covenant at Sinai. The crossing of the Red Sea. After the 10th plague, the Pharaoh allowed the Israelites to leave but quickly regretted it and sent his army to recapture them. The Israelites found themselves trapped between the Egyptian army and the Red Sea. At this critical moment, Moses, obeying a divine command, stretched his staff over the sea. The waters parted, creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross. The Egyptian army attempted to follow the Israelites, but the waters returned to their place, drowning the Egyptian soldiers and ensuring the Hebrews' safety. This event not only marked the liberation of the Israelites, but also solidified Moses' leadership and God's power. The challenges of the desert. The journey through the desert was long and filled with challenges. The Israelites faced shortages of food and water, and a lack of trust in God led to complaints and rebellions. One of the most notable episodes was the lack of water at Marah, where the waters were bitter. God instructed Moses to throw a piece of wood into the waters, making them drinkable. Another significant challenge was the shortage of food, leading to a cry for meat and bread. God responded by sending manna from heaven and quail to feed the people. In addition to these challenges, the disobedience and lack of faith of some Israelites resulted in further punishments and tests. The rebellion of Korah, Dathan and Abiram, who contested Moses and Aaron's authority, led to the earth opening up and swallowing the rebels, demonstrating the seriousness of disobedience and the sanctity of the divine call. The journey culminated with the arrival of the Israelites at Mount Sinai, where God established a covenant with them. Moses ascended the mountain and spent 40 days and 40 nights in the presence of God. During this time, God gave Moses the tablets of the law, containing the 10 Commandments, which would form the moral and legal foundation for the Israelite nation. At Mount Sinai, God also instructed Moses on additional laws and regulations, including precepts about worship, justice, and ethical behavior. These regulations were fundamental to establishing a society that reflected divine principles and promoted order and justice. The experience at Sinai was marked by supernatural events such as thunder, lightning, and a thick cloud covering the mountain, demonstrating God's majesty and power. The covenant was sealed with sacrifices and the ratification of the Israelites' commitment to obey God's laws. When Moses descended from the mountain, he found the people worshipping a golden calf, an idol they had built while he was away. This act of idolatry provoked Moses' anger, and he broke the first tablets in an act of frustration. Moses returned to the mountain to obtain a new set of tablets, and the covenant was renewed with a renewed commitment from the Israelites to follow God's laws. The 10 Commandments, received by Moses at Mount Sinai, are a fundamental set of moral and legal principles that shaped the life and religion of the Israelites. They are considered a universal code of ethics and have had a lasting impact on the morality and legislation of many cultures and religions. I am the Lord your God. The first commandment establishes the exclusivity of God and the obligation to worship him alone. It emphasizes the importance of recognizing and worshipping the one true God. You shall have no other gods before me, prohibits the worship of other gods and the practice of idolatry. It reinforces exclusive devotion to God and the rejection of any form of worship other than him. You shall not make for yourself a carved image. This commandment forbids the creation of images or sculptures for worship, preventing idolatry and reinforcing the idea that God is invisible and should be worshipped in spirit and truth. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, commands that God's name be treated with respect and reverence, prohibiting its irreverent or false use. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, establishes the Sabbath as a day of rest and worship, promoting the importance of setting aside time for spiritual contemplation and physical rest. Honor your father and your mother. Encourages respect and obedience to parents, promoting family harmony and respect for authority figures. You shall not murder. Prohibits murder, affirming the value of human life and the need to maintain order and peace in society. You shall not commit adultery. Protects the sanctity of marriage and forbids marital infidelity, promoting fidelity and integrity in relationships. You shall not steal. Prohibits theft and the wrongful appropriation of others' property, ensuring justice and ownership. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Prohibits lying and false testimony, ensuring integrity and justice in interactions and judgments. The Ten Commandments established a moral and legal standard that not only regulated communal life but also formed the basis of Mosaic law and ethical behavior of the nation. After 40 years of leadership, Moses was taken to Mount Nebo, where he glimpsed the Promised Land. However, due to an act of disobedience at Meribah, Moses was not allowed to enter the Promised Land. He died in Moab, and Joshua assumed leadership to lead the Israelites to the conquest of the Promised Land. Moses' legacy is profound and enduring. He not only freed the Israelites from slavery, but also established the foundation for a nation and a religion that would endure for millennia. His life exemplifies faith, perseverance, and leadership in the face of immense adversity. Moses continues to be an inspiring figure and a symbol of commitment to divine principles. The life of Moses is a powerful testimony of leadership, faith, and perseverance. From his miraculous birth to his crucial role in liberating the Israelites, Moses demonstrated unwavering courage and commitment to the mission entrusted to him by God. His journey through the desert, the trials faced, and the delivery of the Ten Commandments are milestones that not only defined a nation, but also inspired millions throughout the centuries. If you found this story of Moses inspiring and would like to share your thoughts on what you learned from this journey, leave a comment below. We want to know how Moses' life and deeds have impacted your perspective and what you have learned from this story. Your opinion is very important to us. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the continuation of our series on historical figures and events that shaped the world. Click the subscribe button and activate notifications to follow the next parts of this fascinating journey. See you next time.